We are catching up with the Prime Minister just after 7:30 this morning, but she is finally heading over to the US tonight after her trip was delayed due to COVID. But there are strict COVID restrictions in the rules around who can meet the US President, leaving any potential meeting between the two leaders up in the air. Newshub political reporter Amelia Wade is in Los Angeles and she joins us live now. Amelia, speaking of being up in the air, how was the trip?
Fantastic. What a trip. We are here live in Hollywood on the Walk of Fame where we are surrounded by stars. I'm almost literally standing on Vin Diesel and it's just a completely different world here. It's just, you know, there's like COVID seems to be an afterthought. There are sort of very few people wearing masks. It's hot, it's summery, it's just a complete sort of 180 from the freezing cold temperatures that we flew from on Saturday night.
It's going to be quite a change for the Prime Minister then, who has just been in a week in isolation going into that. So what is the latest then on that potential meeting with the US President?
Yeah, as you said before, sort of what is throwing everything on its head is that the United States has this rule that you can't touch down on American soil 10 days after you've tested positive. So the original plan was to fly via Honolulu. However, that plan had to be thrown out the window because obviously that's American soil. So she is coming tonight after chairing post-cab. But the other issue surrounding that is there are super strict precautions around the White House. And so that's thrown everything into turmoil. We just checked in this morning, still no update because one of the other complicating factors is the time differences here. So today it's Sunday, so everyone back home, back in the beehive is desperately waiting for some updates, but it's the weekend here, so everyone's sort of just waiting around, hanging out for Monday, so it's very much just still a waiting game. But I think the mood is actually quite optimistic that this meeting might go ahead.
What if it doesn't? What is a trip to the US without a meeting with the President?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, this whole trip was sort of scheduled around the Harvard invitation about a year ago, and as it's been told to me, that is an invitation that you do not turn down. And then they've built this whole other trip around it, and they really have sort of focused on trade and tourism. So Jacinda Ardern is sort of, you know, meeting with travel editors. She's appearing on the Stephen Colbert show. She's really just sort of charming the Americans to get them down here, because the plan is to get them down for their winter and our summer, and then also to sort of open doors for trade, because we're really now starting to look to the States as more of a trading partner and trying to get them into that CPTPP arrangement. So that is all one thing, but of course to come here, to spend a week in the United States and to not meet the President or even any of the administration, you know, that is going to be sort of a dark cloud that hangs over it if they don't manage to pull this off, for sure.
You mentioned that Harvard speech and it, you know, not being an invitation that you turned down. I wonder what it means for it clearly is important for the Prime Minister. What does it mean for New Zealand voters, though? You know, we're going to see this charm offensive to Americans, but how do you think New Zealanders will feel?
Yeah, see, that's one of the things about Jacinda Ardern, right, is she is so popular over here. We're just having a natter to some people on the street before, and the ones who could tell me who she was, they absolutely love her. They've tied her to the positive COVID response, and they just see her sort of as a breath of fresh light. So she's on one stage overseas, like massively popular on the international stage, but at home couldn't be more of a different story. You know, in our latest poll, her party has actually slid behind National, so it will really be one to see how that Harvard commencement speech does go down, because it is such a stage here in the United States. Oprah's appeared on it. The Marshall Plan was announced here. So the list of speakers who've done it are miles long, but whether that really resonates with New Zealanders back home will be one to watch.
What are you going to be doing in the meantime, Amelia? Not checking up on you, but, you know, before the Prime Minister gets there, is there much going on?
Yeah, so we came ahead. We're with the MFAT delegation, and so we came up on the flight and landed last night. There is a bit of a free day here. We have some things up our sleeves. Don't you worry about that. But the rest of the delegation is sort of, I think they've got some meetings. There's a sort of a meet and greet tonight, so everyone sort of gets together. But it is kind of a waiting game, to be honest, because there was this whole ally itinerary here. She was meant to be meeting with the film studios. They sort of, from what I've been told, the mayor was desperate to meet her. So that's all gone out the window. All that hard work, unfortunately, had to be put in the bin. And then, so we will fly then tomorrow to New York, where we'll be meeting the Prime Minister, where the program actually kicks off again.
Right, and as I mentioned earlier, we will be speaking with the Prime Minister a little later on. Newshub political reporter Amelia Wade in Los Angeles, standing on Vin Diesel on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Have a great day. We'll speak to you later.
I wonder if we can get... Who's the camera with Amelia? Do we know? Could we get... Alex. Can Alex hear us? Alex, can we get a shot of the Walk of Fame?
Oh, yeah. Alex, they're keen for a...
Little look at those names. The stars.
Vin Diesel right here.
There's two, isn't he?
We were we stood on Shrek before. All sorts of stars. You name it, they're here.
They're quite close together, Amelia. I didn't realise they'd be that close together. You'd think that they'd give them a bit more breathing room.
Yeah, you can almost hopscotch your way up the boulevard, to be honest.
There's
just
so
stepping on stars.
Thanks very much, Amelia, joining us live from Los Angeles this morning.